I'm going to read it in Chinese first, and then do the translation for those who, might have problems understanding.
Okay, very good.
广城并木来，前生花挂影，梦起来何似，全是真光死, which is dreaming on Tudor. Light shines from the screen. 1,000 lives pass into shadows. Dreams are born and die, all weightless photons.
That's very nice.
So, do you have any questions?
Yes. Well, tell us a little bit about how you first got interested in calligraphy. Where did you study it? How did you learn it?
Well, I first became interested in it because I had lived in Japan as a child, and I loved the calligraphy, and I thought I was going to learn to read Chinese calligraphy because all of art history in Japan was written in Chinese up until about 1870. But I discovered it was much too hard for me. But I fell in love with the characters themselves. So I took 2 courses in Mandarin at City College, and then I had a minister who was 91 years old who gave me 86 weeks of calligraphy. He would write 25 characters, then I would take them home and write each character 5 times and bring them back, and he would say what was wrong with the stroke order and something like that. Now, I had to keep a secret from him all those 86 weeks because he was a Christian minister who had actually been in jail in mainland China for being a Christian minister. So, I mean, he was quite dedicated to his faith, and I'm a Buddhist. But he never knew that because I thought, better not say anything about that.
There are all kinds of risks to cross-cultural learning, aren't there? And then the Chinese itself, did you study Chinese pronunciation, or how did you learn
the pronunciation? Well, I had the 2 classes, and then I began learning at the various ways that it's transcribed, written into English, and they're so different. I mean, the Yale system is really quite different from the Wade's Guilds, which is totally different from Pinyin, which is the modern mainland China version. And whoever's writing these systems really don't understand how you need to communicate pronunciation. Like ZHU, you would think it would be Zhu, right?
Right.
But it's Ju, like Jew. So you have to get past that. Luckily, the internet has a wonderful site that will translate any character for you, and you can hear how it sounds, you can see the history of it, how it relates to other characters, how to write it. So internet is wonderful in that way.
So where would you actually like to go then with all of this? Or how would you like to use it?
My dream, because I remember I did the thing about Tudor Wang. Wang means net. So it's analogous to .com. It's Wang, which is net. I have several things on that system, and what I would really like to do is eventually meet some Chinese people through Tudor who would like to read and write English poetry and would like to hear me reading and writing Chinese poetry and have a cultural relationship there, and maybe eventually get a grant to make it more exciting.
So your poem was a little bit subversive. It had a personal motive in it too, about the photons flickering back.
Yeah, it was telling the Chinese people, "Here I am. Talk to me. Tell me I'm stupid, but talk to me."
And have you done much with the Chinese internet so far? Have you been?
No. Well, it's all in Chinese, and so that's why people aren't aware of how vast it is, because you can't go forward, you can't go backwards, you can't do anything. Everything is in Chinese, and so it's flowing upstream, but it's exciting. And yes, I have 3 3-minute things on Tudor at this point.
Oh, good, good. Well, before we finish with Du Fu, tell us a little bit about his history and who he was.
Well, he was his father and his uncle were both government officials, but very minor officials. He was the greatest poet that China has ever had, and yet when he took his examinations for the Jianshi, which is the to get really in a leadership position, you have to pass this. He failed both times. Why? it is believed by historians that he failed the first time because he was just too original.
Oh, wow.
And the whole thing was to become a government official, you have to be not terribly original.
So he was too talented.
He was too talented. The second time, no one passed because the emperor was angry and failed everybody. After that, he no longer tried. He was a government official in some important positions at some times. But what really makes him a success and a memory to us is that he went and lived in the country among the common people, and he's the only Chinese poet of distinction who wrote about the common people. And he loved the common people. For instance, when he found that the children of the poor people were dying from starvation, he started a subscription among his fellow level people, and they set up orphanages. He was one of the first in China to do that, so he was very socially conscious. And he loved the common people. He got in trouble a couple of times because he said some bad things. He said, I wish my son, he wrote a poem to his son when he was born, I wish my son to be dumb. I do not want him to be a genius, because I have suffered from genius all my life. Better that he be stupid and dull, so that one day he might be prime minister. So he's a nice guy.
He went through some interesting experiences, didn't he?
Yeah, the fall of the Tang Dynasty. I mean, he got his job, and then the dynasty fell.
It was not an easy time.
And he was captive for a few years, escaped, went back to the emperor.
Well, as you know, it's never an easy time, I guess, to be a poet or an artist, is it?
Right.
There's always some kind of suffering involved, and one just has to learn to live with it.
So, are you going to read some poetry yourself?
I'm going to read something now myself. So I was thinking of what would sort of work with this, and I really don't have anything quite so classical to contribute. I suppose Shakespeare would be the most classical thing, and we had Arthur Evans reading from Greek poetry before, which is certainly very classical. But I thought something that's classically American maybe would be Whitman, and so...
can I to say something about that?
Yes, please.
When I came out, my mother brought me a book, and she said, read this book, there are beautiful things for you in it. This was 1958, and it was Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass, with wonderful lines like, "Oh boy of responding kisses, and we lay in the field at night." So I'm very interested in hearing what your poem has to say.
Oh, good. Well, I think it's one of his nicer ones, and it's very simple, and it's sort of atmospheric. And I brought along some slides, which you helped me to select, so I hope that will make it more interesting for everyone to listen to. So let's try that now, and I will do that and take it there, and let's see how it goes. So this is called We Two Boys, and I have to get to the right page here. We two boys together clinging, one the other never leaving. I have to get this going. There we go. We two boys together clinging, one the other never leaving, up and down the roads going, north and south excursions making, power enjoying, elbows stretching, fingers clutching, armed and fearless, eating, drinking, sleeping, loving, no law less than ourselves owning, sailing, soldiering, thieving, threatening, misers, menials, priests alarming, air breathing, water drinking, on the turf or the sea beach dancing, cities wrenching, ease scorning, statutes mocking, feebleness chasing, fulfilling our foray.